It is I, C-3PO, though you may not know due to my red eyes.
Jesus Christ.
I'm Captain Vinzer Flynn, and you're listening to Shitfaced in Hyperspace. So did you think of a topic for tonight, Chris, or is it just sort of encompassed in all the fucking Disney stuff we have to go over tonight anyway?
I mean, it can just be the Disney stuff. I had a really weird shower thought. So what if the Matrix was run on Windows?
So yeah, that's something else to talk about tonight is Matrix 4.
I'm kind of stoked, but Lawrence Fishburne hasn't bought in yet, to my knowledge, so...
But they've confirmed Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss, which is very cool.
Which I'm cool with. I would love more Agent Smith, but I don't think there should be.
No, I agree.
Like, he's pretty much, like, done and done at this point.
Yeah, my new theory for what they're going to do is that, because at the end of the third Matrix, you know, the machines took Neo away. He's presumably died. I think he's still alive, and they used his brain to create a more perfect Matrix that will reflect society as it is now and how to keep us under control, and that will be all social media shit.
Oh yeah, the Wachowskis have tons of stuff that they can do now, like social media and like likes on social media or whatever, likes on Facebook, all kinds of things that, like Instagram life, I guess.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be a major commentary on life today. Weewick says he wants to discuss bounty hunting tonight.
I'm pretty sure we were.
That's what I said. Weewick says, not yet, I'm fixing ahead. Okay.
That could mean anything.
Interesting, very interesting.
Speaking of missing people, where's your other half?
My other half?
She's like the lead bounty hunter of our D&D group.
I'm pretty sure she's the only licensed bounty hunter of our D&D group.
Licensed. I've never needed it.
You don't need a license if you don't get caught.
I will bet you 100 credits the Mandalorian doesn't have a license. Well, especially since the Empire has fallen.
Good to say, it's not really a thing anymore. Well,
so do we want to start talking about stuff, or do we want to wait a little longer?
Oh, we've already started.
All right. So I was watching a video earlier about all the stuff that people have picked out of it, and it one of the characters, I think they said it looks like he runs some sort of bounty hunting guild, air quotes. So we'll see kind of what happens.
I actually had not heard that. That's an interesting take. I was thinking I didn't know about the Mandalorian running that, but the Werner Herzog character I thought could have been like a bounty broker of some sort.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with all the actors. That's usually Vander's thing. So the one of the guys who's sitting at one of the tables, like the scenes where he's talking to a guy sitting at a booth or a table or whatever.
Yeah, that's Werner Herzog, and yeah, I think he's. It seems like he's going to be the one that's running things, or at least like a fence or something. That's what I got from what little we saw.
It looks like the Carl Weathers character might be a contact of some sort as well. That's what it looks like to me.
I don't know if it was a contact or maybe an antagonist, because it kind of looks like we saw. Well, some of the things we saw was Death Troopers there, and it looks like he possibly could be maybe leading them. So maybe we have some remnants of the Empire trying to work around, and that maybe that's his like personal guard or something.
I think Giancarlo Esposito, who I cannot call anything but Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, he looks like the antagonist to me.
I love, like, right from the beginning, the imagery that we saw as soon as the trailer opens up and we just see the stormtrooper helmets on pikes, and it's like, okay, we're getting the dark that we were hoping for.
Yeah,
like this is going to be PG-13 in the best kind of way.
It looks so good, just like the visuals and the music already. I'm already so impressed with it, and it's thing that's really exciting to me is it's post Jedi. Like, we haven't touched this time period yet, and it's a nice big gap to play around with. And there's a lot of unanswered questions in that period that we, as longtime Star Wars fans, we want. Like I mean, obviously the First Order rose and stuff, but I mean, that was a long time between. Like, we want to know, like, what happened right after the Death Star blew, after the Emperor died. What were the ramifications? Like, it's all new shit.
Yeah, and even on a slightly smaller scale is in Return of the Jedi, Jabba pretty much controlled Tatooine, and Jabba's killed. So the just on a planetary scale is Tatooine is going to be kind of fucked up because they're not going to have anything running it. So how does that work? I think you'd have smaller gang fighting and things like that, and power plays. Um, and I think we're going to see a fair bit of that.
Very true. I hadn't even thought of that, but that's right. Post Jabba Tatooine, and I love that we're going back to Tatooine. It is such classic Star Wars.
But it also looks like it's not just on Tatooine, right? There was a planet with mud flats. That's definitely not Tatooine.
Yeah.
There was a jungle-looking planet, which is definitely not Tatooine. So I'm hoping that we get some variety in locale.
Yeah, I think we will. I think one of the things with Tatooine is because it's the first planet we ever saw, and I think that'll always be one of those things that they'll try to throw a little bit there because we know it as the the hive of scum and villainy. So it would make sense. Kind of, it's like, okay, bring us in here, and then we'll go from there. But that can kind of unites the world almost.
It's like the jumping off point for Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. One of the other things I really like in the trailer is you're definitely getting a feel for the Western style. You're seeing you're seeing an alien come in on a dewback.
There's a Mexican standoff.
There's the Mexican standoff. They're just like, yeah, everything. It's like, this is a Western in space.
That's how you do Star Wars, baby.
And the way she was winking at the camera as she kind of walked away makes me think that maybe she's like a rival to the Mandalorian or something like that.
That wink holds all kinds of promise for stories, doesn't it?
Yeah, it could be anything. It could be a rival. It could be maybe the Mandalorian had a fling. Who knows? Like something, there's something there. But yeah, until we see it, we're not going to know. But that wink says.
And seeing that Twi'lek makes me happy because that's using a classic Star Wars alien race. And when the Mandalorian's in a fight, he smashes some Quarren's head on a table, and that's another classic Star Wars race. And while I like all the new ones in the new movies, like just going back to those familiar alien faces, is that again that's bringing us back to our Star Wars roots.
And if you actually pay attention, that Quarren is the first carbonite chunk in the hold of his ship.
Oh, is he? I didn't realize that. Cool.
I poured over this thing.
I only watched it a couple times, but it is just so damn good. I was just going to say what Varen said there, like we're getting new stuff, old stuff, and we're kind of getting that in one go with the new assassin droid, which is IG-11, not IG-88, and you get to see him wheeling his arms around and being a bounty hunter badass. And in one scene, it looks like he's working with the Mandalorian when they cut through a door. But the thing I'm most excited about for this guy is he's voiced by Taika Waititi. I mean, the guy that did Korg and Thor and all that. Like, he's just awesome.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm like, I'm really looking forward to seeing like how is he gonna play that character, because I love Taika. He's hilarious. I'm excited to see his direction on that, but also just him being another character is going to be amazing.
I feel like we're going to get a lot of sass with this IG droid.
So my hope is IG-11 is just his like droid part.
That would be cool.
So we get lots of it. It's like the R2 to Anakin or the K3 to Cassian or whatever.
My guess going on the limited information so far is that the Werner Herzog character sends him on a hunt, but he makes the droid go with him.
One other thing I'm stoked about. So the ship is called the Razor Crest, which is a badass name for a pirate ship. I'm just saying.
That is a badass name for a ship.
Yeah, much better than the Blackjack.
Fuck you.
Oh hey, Vander.
And they're going back to that, and they used it in the that old Jango Fett bounty hunter game where you had Jaster Muriel's big ship with gigantic fucking engines. Mando's like their big Firefly-esque engine.
So I'm looking at the Wikipedia stub of the Razor Crest because that's all there is. But apparently, they did a practical model of it rather than a CGI.
I've heard
Model
that
ship.
a lot of the things are with practical models for the Mandalorian and just supplemented with CG.
Yeah, well, I think when they did that when they did Force Awakens, and that's one of the reasons that people really enjoyed, like the fact that they use practical effects, touch it up with CGI, and I think right when they started making this one, like they only showed us those few pictures early on, but it was like, okay, they're building proper sets. They're doing they're doing it to make it feel gritty. You need to do proper sets.
But then sometimes that goes too far. And then in The Last Jedi, they went out of their way to make Yoda a puppet, and he looked really bad in my opinion. Like, it looked really bad.
I agree.
Yeah. There's a balance.
All the other, like,
That was the same when they did Episode 1, and I
oh my god, it
remember
was so bad.
they originally were like, "We'll do a puppet, but it's younger," and it's like, "Oh, that looks awful." Okay, now we'll do it a CGI version of the puppet. And, oh god, it looks awful. Like they were just having issues doing some sort of age translation and CGI puppet translation. It was awful.
It only really worked back in the age of the Muppets.
I liked how it ended up looking, though, in Episode 3. And
Oh god, yeah, they fixed it in 2 and 3, but in 1, if you actually get like when it first came out on DVD, I remember how it looked, and then I remember when I bought it on DVD, and I'm like, they'd actually changed it. Like they actually changed it to a CGI one that aged a little bit better. But it was like you could even see like, oh, they're like, no, this isn't good, guys. We need to fix this.
Morian in chat says, Varen, wait, you actually bought the DVD?
What do I look like? Some kind of pirate?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna download it on my 56K modem.
On LimeWire.
Yeah, and LimeWire, and tell my mom you can't use the phone for the next 4 days.
Oh, it was at 89%. One thing I'm wondering about is if they're going to go a whole season with this show and never take his helmet off or even reveal what his name is. A lot of fans are saying, you don't hire a guy like Pedro Pascal to not take his helmet off. He's a sexy man. But I'm wondering, are they going to Judge Dredd this thing?
I mean, yeah, Carl Urban never took
Carl
his mask
Urban
off.
showed us just how much you can convey with jaw down, right?
We haven't heard him speak yet either.
Yeah, we're definitely going to hear his voice, though. I feel like there's just not enough to because if we're not going to hear his voice, even if we do or don't see his face, they wouldn't have cast Pedro.
You're right. Yeah, I think they're just holding a lot back to build the hype.
Oh, yeah.
It's working.
He might still be a silent-ish character, but there's no way they're going to have just a droid yelling at him. Like, you need your main character to talk if there's going to be conversations.
Yeah.
It's he can be minimal and still get like things by. It's just like, okay, he's still kind of quiet, but he's gonna talk, and then a lot of the filler can be done by if he has a droid partner or whatever.
And the other thing is, though, is like in the footage we saw in the trailer, he could have been talking.
That's
we
right.
Just can't see his lips, and they could have just taken out the audio from it. So we have no idea. It's just a trailer, and where we have a character with a mask on.
Maureen in chat says, and I agree, we need to see that grappling hook scene through the door because that was fucking awesome.
Well, I mean, we've already seen a Quarren and a bunch of other stuff, so...
I don't know, a big fish head guy coming to hunt me would scare the fuck out of me. Yeah, Maureen asked, do you think we'll see anything about the Bounty Hunter Guild or how much of it we might see? We touched on that a little while ago, Maury, because technically the Bounty Hunter Guild is under the purview of the Empire, which is now fallen, so we're wondering if there's going to be more small independent guilds. Is the Werner Herzog character giving bounties? I'm really curious about that too.
Yeah, and I mean, just because they're not licensed by the Empire doesn't mean the bounties couldn't happen, because then it would just be a lot more of the criminal elements wanting jobs done.
So one fan theory I've heard, and I really don't hope this one's true, is since it's post-Jedi, could the man under the mask be a resurrected Boba Fett?
I hope not.
Oh, Jesus, I'd be riot.
It's I in the books I'm like, okay, yeah, and in the old books they were fine, but no, just let it be. And there's so many more characters. Just have a new character.
But that's my next question, because they can kind of do whatever they want canon-wise now, and make it official and retcon shit. I mean, could we see like him appear at some point? Like a surprise appearance towards the end of the season or something like that?
The funnier part is, without his armor, we literally never know until they outright say it's Boba.
That's interesting too. They could plant a character that could be him the whole time. We wouldn't know. Keep an eye out for Tamura Morrison lurking around in the background.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I'm like, he's still around, and he's he'd probably be about the right age now.
He would be the right age probably by now.
Now, one of the other things going in a similar line with that, I'd like to see is that we could get characters like Bosk, Aura, and all the other bounty hunters that we didn't. We saw them in the one scene, and that's it.
That thought hadn't even crossed my mind, Varen, and that's a great point. Like, we could see guys like Forlom and Zuckuss or something. There's no reason we couldn't see those guys, and that would be fucking cool.
You know what we desperately need? We need live action Cad Bane.
Oh my god, I would love that.
So timeline-wise, this takes place 5 years after the end of Jedi, which means it's been 3 years since the Battle of Jakku. So the Empire is done, air quotes. Ben Solo is 4 years old at this point, and I think Rey is 4 years from being born, maybe 6. So there's no way we're going to see any of those characters in this, but it's just interesting from a timeline perspective.
That's cool. I didn't actually check how long after Jedi it was. So 5 years. That a lot can happen in 5 years. I think what's her name? Gina Carano. Is that how you say her name? She was in Deadpool. I think her character is an ex-Rebel Alliance gunner of some sort. I think I read.
Rebel shock trooper.
That's what I heard.
That'll be cool. So yeah, these Rebel commandos that don't want to get in line with peaceful Republic stuff, they probably find themselves disenfranchised and they've kind of lost their fight. Now they have to turn to mercenary work.
It's going to be so good. So good.
Funniest thing for me for this Mandalorian trailer is that we are way more excited about it than the trailer for a new Star Wars movie. Like, when would we ever have thought that?
I mean, Mandos are our bread and butter. So
I showed the chief the trailer today. He had no interest. It's not really his thing. I showed him the trailer. He's interested.
Yeah, there's no Jedi stuff, like, well, at least not that we saw. It's a space western. So that brings me to my next subject is the official green light of the Kenobi show, which is going to be set 8 years after Sith. So all I'm wondering is, who are they going to cast to be a bratty young Luke Skywalker that he's watching over? Which means they'll have to, we'll probably get to see Luke's friends like a young Biggs Darklighter and the characters that were in the script and novelization, like Cammy, that didn't get into the movie, shit like that.
I think that'll be neat to see that. But I am very curious to see exactly how they're gonna. It's like, okay, well, he's gonna go to Tatooine and watch over them, so he can only go so far. Like, I feel like it'll be a short series, like maybe like a mini series kind of thing, and it won't have multiple seasons. It's just my guess.
And I've mentioned the Marvel Comics before. They did some stories about Kenobi watching over Luke on Tatooine, and while you think, wow, he's stuck on one planet, it might not be that interesting, they did some awesome stuff, and it was super interesting. And like, Luke's out getting into trouble, and Kenobi's watching him hidden, and then they had sand people subplots and shit like that. It was really good stuff. So I think it's going to be good.
I agree. I mean, it's Tatooine of all planets. There's so much shit Luke could get into. It's stupid.
I hope they recreate that scene where Uncle Owen goes to Kenobi's shack and's like, "Stay away from my nephew. Haven't you killed enough Skywalkers?"
I wonder who they're going to cast as Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Joel Edgerton.
What?
Probably like Joel Edgerton, man. Didn't he play him in episode 3?
He did, and they were great.
Yeah, like if they can, they'll pull him because he was perfect, even just that small role, and he's aged up appropriate. And he's a fantastic actor, and I can't imagine someone like him would say no to working on Star Wars again as a more fleshed out character.
I would love to see him back for that.
But I wonder if we're going to see Liam Neeson.
Oh, that's a good point, because at the end of Clone Wars, at the end of episode 3, Yoda's all, I will teach you how to talk to Force ghosts and stuff.
So, and learn from Qui-Gon.
That would be awesome.
Even if it's just like a bit in one episode, like whether it be like it could be the season finale cliffhanger, it could be like in the entry to the first episode of him just finishing what's left of his potential training.
I'd settle for a voiceover.
Now, how would you feel about, because of the timeline, could we see a live version of Ahsoka appear for an episode?
God, I feel like they'd never give us that.
I need to look at the timeline. Hang on.
Well, here's the thing: is again based off my limited knowledge, the continuation series of the Clone Wars that we're getting, the character could be killed off, right?
No, she's alive in Rebels.
Oh, she makes it to Rebels. Okay.
Yeah, and she's alive at the end of Rebels, and she's actually technically, as of the Mandalorian, she's technically still alive. She survives the war.
And I mean, you could even get Ashley Eckstein, who voices her, to do it. She's actually cosplayed her before and looks exactly how she should.
So Morian brings up a point that he says they've done so much with Maul and Rebels and Solo. I would love like an underworld mafioso style Darth Maul show.
I would love to see anything more to do with underworld stuff like Crimson Dawn or Black Sun, shit like that.
I think, and I hope that where Disney has kind of seen the fact that people want more adult-esque Star Wars content, that we might get some stuff like that in the future, hopefully.
10 credits says the opening scene of Kenobi is him going into Anchorhead to get supplies. Hello there.
Okay, we've got 2 shows. Let's talk about show number 3. Cassian and K2.
I am probably other than the Mandalorian, I'm probably more stoked for this than I am Kenobi. You can crucify me all you want. I love Cassian. He's my favorite character.
I'm really looking forward to that show.
And I love K2. I saw when they introduced it, and Alan Tudyk is hilarious and being ridiculous as you.
I am going in with zero expectations, and I want the show to be what I wanted the movie to be, but I will refuse to give it any thought until it's out because I cannot go through that level of disappointment again.
Yeah,
what did you want Rogue One to be?
I wanted Rogue One to focus on how dangerous and ruthless the rebels were being, and to show that they are actually not necessarily the good guys. They are the gray characters, but are ultimately fighting for the greater good, but are willing to do the things that they want to do. But also I wanted it to be more like rough and tumble, like warlike, especially when we saw all the scenes on the beach. I was expecting like more of a battle, and it became a lot less of that, and a lot of other things which I could spend 3 hours complaining about, but let's not.
I completely agree, Vander. I want to see dirty deeds all over Rebel Alliance mission.
My favorite part of that film is in the middle of the film when they're on, I think it's the planet where they get the crystals for the lightsabers on. Cassian shoots a civilian, or it might have been Jyn Erso, I can't remember. They shoot a civilian because that's what they need to do to get out of there. Like they're fighting a couple of stormtroopers, but they just blow up people because it's like, we need to get the fuck out of here. It doesn't matter.
He murders the contact early on.
That's
too.
what I want.
Straight up
that's
kills
my
the guy.
thing. He fucking just puts a bolt in the back of that guy, and I'm like, okay, I am in.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully, we'll get a trailer somewhat in the next couple of months for the Cassian one, because I think that comes out in January or February as well.
So speaking of trailers, should we talk about the least important part of the Star Wars news lately, the actual movie?
It was barely a trailer. It was like a couple seconds of scene, just to be like, hey guys, remember this movie's coming.
But enough to pique my
Did not pique my interest more. Didn't lower it.
Yeah, it was a 2-minute trailer. And the first minute, because when I watched it again, it was literally the first minute was just showing clips from the old movies, and then the last minute was the actual showing us new things. And it showed me enough that I'm interested. I want to see what's happening here, but I also have no clue what's happening here.
Yeah, I think for me, it just reminded me that I actually really enjoyed Force Awakens, is what I got from that trailer when they showed old footage. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I really did like Force Awakens. I've seen it a couple of times. I think it's a good Star Wars. And then the new footage, I was like, yeah, okay. Like, except for that one shot, like the coolest shot of the entire footage there, I think looks so bad. but it's supposed to be so cool. And I just think that like the whatever stylistic choices they went for, it looks bad. And I think maybe they're just trying to get that classic look of like the Dagobah Vision fight, but like it literally looks like they used a double and then superimposed Daisy Ridley's face on top of the double in that shot. Like it's Uncanny Valley. It is fucking weird.
So the one thing about that shot that I have noticed people talking about on the internet, Varen, you might pick this up because you and I are equally large Rebels fans, was that the style of flip out double-bladed saber shoes is the same type that the Jedi Guardians used in Rebels.
I don't know. It just seems so weird though. Like I have this feeling that she's somehow a clone or something. Like it doesn't.
Oh, she's got to be something.
Something else is going on, and I mean, we still have the idea of it's like near the end of the trailer, we hear Palpatine, but it seems like it's layered with Luke, and you can hear Vader's breathing mask.
Yeah, you can hear Vader breathing when it like fades out from the previous scene, and then comes into that. You can hear Vader breathing the entire time. The other thing that I'm super stoked about is in the fleet shot of the Rebels, there's B-wings in the background.
Finally.
Yes, I love that shot. Seeing it's all the classic ships. We're seeing our B-wing, our A-wing, and our X-wings all together. And I always loved the ship scenes more than anything, and we didn't get them much in the original. And I really like the fact we're starting to get more. And I always love those X-wing games, and I love the X-wing books. And I'd love to see more with that. And yeah, seeing something like the B-wing where it's like that was supposed to be the top of the line. It was their newest ships in Jedi, and then it's like, oh, we never see them again.
I'd like to comment on Maureen's comment. The fact that Kylo Ren isn't an interesting movie villain. I would actually very much disagree with that.
Fight.
In fact, that's like the one thing I really took away from episode 8. And like, I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. I watched it twice. My opinion did not change of it. It's rewatchable. There's some beautiful visuals in it, but it's okay. But watching that film just made me think, man, this is what George wanted in the prequel trilogy out of Hayden Christensen. He just didn't know how to direct him. Like he wanted, Adam Driver is so good at showing conflicted in a character that anytime Kylo's on screen, like you kind of feel for him. Like he's not supposed to be the villain, but he's kind of just been unloved enough and pushed into it. And you understand why, and you see his struggle more and more. And it's like, he's not just this menacing bad to be bad, and he does kind of look like a little bitch in episode 7 where he just kind of like lashes out, but like he has his moments, and I'm more interested in seeing where his character goes than any other character in the new trilogy, honestly, which I've never thought I would, because frankly I never really cared for the villains in any of the other Star Wars films.
I think you're right. Adam Driver's amazing, and I do think Kylo is the most compelling villain they've had, because you bounce between, oh, the poor guy, then, oh, what a dick.
You know, they always say the best villains don't realize they're the villain.
The most important part, I think, is that Kylo/Ben is the most layered Star Wars villain we've ever had. Everybody else, with maybe the exception of Dooku, has been like a caricature. Very one-dimensional.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Yep, and that's almost... But that's also a play with the original ideas, like the old 1920s serials, and you didn't have the characterization. You just had somebody that looked evil. Even our favorite Fett, he just looks cool. He doesn't really actually have anything really going for him, to be honest. He just looks really cool.
So more so than the trailer for me was the new movie poster they put out, which has the Emperor's it does look dope. This Emperor's big old face right there in the background, which makes me believe he's got more to do with the story than just being some flashback or force stream or something. Like the way they displayed him there, I'm like, okay, there's more to this Emperor thing than maybe we thought.
Oh, for sure. And I think something you have to point out is if he didn't have a super major plot point, you don't need to show us he's in the film or in the trailers or bring Ian McDermott out to sell it. We're already sold on it. Like showing that the Emperor's in it is not going to get more people to come look at it. If it's truly something really, really, really minor, they would just let us experience brand new within the film and get surprised. Like Han dying, which although honestly, you had to be pretty pretty oblivious to not see that coming, though. Like, that was the one thing I was confident I was going to witness in that film.
Yeah. Harrison's like, all right, I want
Harrison.
He wanted out like he wanted out in Empire.
I saw someone post like some clips of just him reacting to being Han, and like it was like an interview with him and George at Star Wars Celebration, and he was like, "Are you looking forward to seeing like another actor play a young version of Han Solo? Like, are you gonna watch?" He's like, "No, not really." Like at Star Wars Celebration, like, "No, not really." Like, he's not even just a private interview. He's like, "No, I'd rather not talk about that." Like, it's so good.
I remember an interview with him like 30 fucking years ago, and before all the prequels and stuff came out, and they said, "Would you want to play Han Solo again?" And he didn't answer. He just made a face like.
Oh, I'm certainly hoping they don't screw him up like they did the big bad in The Last Jedi. That was a really disappointing.
Yeah, I blame that on Rian Johnson.
What is the water world that they're dueling on? Because it looks like they're dueling on like the hull of a ship poking out of the ocean. It's Kano, which would be kind of cool, and lend more feed more fire on the clone theory.
Ooh, yeah.
So that's an interesting point.
At first, I was thinking maybe Mon Cal, but yeah, if they did a Camino, especially with the clone aspect that a lot of people seem to be taking, yeah, that could definitely be it.
I mean, Palpatine did have a cloning fetish. Like he in the Heir to the Empire, he cloned
really
Luke.
A fetish?
Probably.
Is it really a fetish, or is it just like his thing?
Preoccupation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Juice.
Okay, so if Rey is a clone and there's a whole bunch of her, who was she originally? Maybe the Palpatine's dead daughter or something? What do you think?
Maybe she's a Skywalker clone. Because think, he made the clone army. Who's to say he did? They didn't when they found the child, when they found Anakin, he didn't take some blood samples and send it over to the facility, make a couple new Anakins.
Well, that's just it.
Be a man or woman.
That's just it. A lot of people have commented on Rey's similar appearance to Shmi Skywalker, so it's, there could be a connection there.
So does this mean then if you clone a Jedi, you are always going to be guaranteed he or she is going to have force powers?
Who knows?
Well, if they go the midichlorian route, I'd say yes, because it's part of the DNA.
Fucking midichlorians.
Right? But yeah.
Oh, George, one of your not so great ideas.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Oh, fuck
Shut
off.
your face.
Yippee!
God, I hate that movie.
Shut up, Anakin.
I'm always amused in Star Wars Abridged how there's like literally 5 minutes of the Phantom Menace in that cut, and then there's nothing.
God, barely. I love that.
I actually had to skip a full minute and a half of that trailer to actually get to the good stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about. The good stuff was at the beginning.
I was going to say, how dare you, sir?
Wow. Wow.
The goods. Oh my
Wow.
God. Give me your Star Wars card. Get in that airlock.
Bye!
Come on, that old stuff. That's where the magic is, baby.
Yeah.
You motherfucker. Well played.
So, do we want to touch on any of the other announcements from D23 this weekend? There was a lot of Marvel ones too.
Yeah, what we got? Ms. Marvel, She-Hulk, Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight might have been the next Netflix thing if that hadn't died.
Yeah.
Probably. That would lend itself well to a Netflix thing. He's basically Batman.
Sorry, what happened?
So Disney announced a bunch of Marvel D23 things that weren't at that were not announced at San Diego. So there's Ms. Marvel. So that's the Camilla Khan one. There's She-Hulk and Moon Knight.
Yes, Moon Knight.
They apparently also announced Black Panther 2. It's coming for 2022.
Yep. We finally got a poster for Black Widow movie, and Taskmaster is supposed to be the villain.
So that
Ooh.
Interesting.
so that was in fact a real poster, because I thought it might have been a fan edit. I mean, I liked it either way.
It looks, from everything that I've been able to see, it's the real poster.
Okay.
And we're going to have, um, it's a Soviet soldier that's basically just a copy of Captain America. And yeah, but they said Taskmaster is going to be involved. That was the only named villain that I knew.
Taskmaster's in the comics all the time. I can't believe they haven't used him yet.
Yeah,
The
they used him
costume
in
also looks badass as fuck.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
game and it looked good, but they're using him in the new Avengers game, so who knows?
Now, the other thing, so they've credited some of the other actors that are appearing in the Black Widow movie, and they've actually got 4 different Black Widows on top of Scarlett Johansson's character. They're actually having the various people that have had her over the years. So we're actually going to get like older versions and different iterations of it. So ones that are more the villain one, where she started out, where she could be the one at the end who became good. So it'll kind of close up that end of things.
I dig that.
So I'm assuming then I probably missed it, but you guys have talked about the fact that Disney Plus is maybe actually a service you'd actually want to pay for.
Yeah,
Hands down.
The times
God,
have
yeah.
changed. I've been a pirate my whole life, and I think I'm ready to pay for this one because it's got enough that I want. And the thing that tipped me over the edge, The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh my
that trailer
God,
looks,
yes.
that trailer looks so good.
It looks hilarious.
The
So-
premise is he knows nothing. I look forward to the new Disney Plus series coming out in 2023, The Other Mandalorian. All right, anybody want to touch on anything else before we wrap up? Oh, Weewick, what do you want to say, Weewick?
I hear the knocking on the hall.
Well, we're talking about bounty hunting, right?
Yep.
Well, you know how.
That's it for the crew of the Blackjack this week, folks. Join us next week. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Clan Flynn, and support our Patreon at patreon.com/VincerFlynn. See you next week. Stay fresh, cheese bags.